Too many waste their lives shackled to the mundane, running the wheel of routine, trapped in a cycle of working for a paycheck that never satisfies the hunger of the soul. They labor from morning to night, sweating under the weight of expectations that were never theirs to bear. Yet, what if I told you that the struggle is not a sign of failure, but a signal that you are out of alignment with the purpose you were called to fulfill? What if the doors that refuse to open are not curses, but course corrections? There is a gnawing restlessness that takes hold of those who were never meant to settle for the ordinary. You've walked into offices that feel like cages, sat at desks that seem more like prisons than places of purpose. Each day feels like a repetition of the last, a series of tasks performed for a paycheck that barely keeps up with the demands of life. The monotony drains you, yet you are surrounded by people who seem content, who have accepted this existence as the best there is. They tell you to be grateful, to appreciate the security of a steady job, but your spirit rebels against this stagnation, sensing there is something greater awaiting beyond the confines of conventional work. It's not that you lack discipline or work ethic. In fact, you have a fire in you that could fuel empires, a vision that refuses to be quieted. But the typical 9-to-5 grind, the routine of clocking in and out, feels like a betrayal of that fire. You see people around you who seem satisfied, content to work for someone else's dream, to build someone else's vision, to live by someone else's standards. Yet, your heart refuses to conform. You find yourself questioning why you are here, why your time is spent enriching others while your own dreams gather dust in the forgotten corners of your mind. This unease is not laziness. It is a divine discomfort designed to awaken you. You've tried to force yourself into the mold of conventional work. You've polished your resume, prepared for interviews, studied the right career paths. Perhaps you've even landed decent jobs, positions that many would consider fortunate. Yet each time you settle into the routine, the same restlessness returns. The spark fades, the enthusiasm dwindles, and you are left wondering why contentment seems so elusive. Those around you may see stability, but inside you feel the quiet erosion of your passion. The ache for more grows stronger, and you cannot ignore it any longer. It is not a flaw, it is a calling. The world tells you that stability lies in conformity, that the path to success is marked by predictability and compliance. But deep within you know that true fulfillment cannot be found on paths that others have paved. You have gifts that do not fit into neat job descriptions, creativity that cannot be contained within the walls of an office, and a hunger for impact that surpasses the limitations of a paycheck. This unease is not a curse, it is an invitation to step into the unknown, to create rather than conform, to build rather than merely belong. Those who live with this unease often face misunderstanding. Family and friends may question your reluctance to settle, labeling it as irresponsibility or immaturity. Yet, their opinions cannot silence the call within you. You are not designed for complacency, you are created for contribution. The unease with conventional work is a signpost, a signal that there is a greater purpose awaiting your courage. It is time to listen to that voice that has been whispering in the quiet moments, urging you to break free from the expected and embrace the extraordinary. Do not silence the restlessness, let it propel you toward the purpose you were born to fulfill. There is a weight that rests on those marked with creative vision, a burden that presses upon the heart and mind, refusing to be ignored. It is a fire that burns within, igniting thoughts, ideas, and dreams that do not conform to conventional paths. These visions invade your quiet moments, persistently tugging at your consciousness. They interrupt your day-to-day responsibilities, reminding you that there is something more to be done, something greater to be birthed. You try to suppress them, to silence them, to tell yourself they are impractical, unrealistic. Yet, the creative burden will not relent. It will not fade into complacency. You may have tried to fit these visions into standard employment, to mold your ideas into something that a traditional job description can accommodate. But you quickly find that conventional roles stifle your creativity rather than cultivate it. The rigid expectations of standard employment do not allow for the freedom required to bring forth what is within you. You feel boxed in, limited by the confines of policies, protocols, and predetermined objectives. You sense that the work you are assigned to complete pales in comparison to the work that your soul longs to create. The creative burden is a call to break away from the ordinary and step into the realm of the extraordinary. These dreams do not merely pass through your mind like fleeting thoughts. They linger, they consume, they demand your attention. You see solutions to problems that others overlook. You imagine possibilities where others see barriers. You envision projects, businesses, and creations that have yet to be realized, and the thought of leaving them undone weighs heavily on your spirit. It feels like betrayal to ignore them, as though suppressing these visions is a denial of your true self. You wrestle with the tension between the need for stability and the calling to create. It is not an easy conflict, yet it is one that cannot be ignored. You may have shared these ideas with others, only to be met with skepticism or dismissal. They tell you to be practical, to get a real job, to pursue stability over dreams. Yet the creative burden does not understand practicality, it understands purpose. The world has conditioned many to believe that creativity is a luxury, an indulgence reserved for the privileged, but for you it is a necessity. It is the air you breathe, the fire that fuels you, the essence of who you are. To deny it is to suffocate a part of yourself that was meant to thrive. There is a cost to carrying this creative burden. It often brings isolation because not everyone understands the depth of your vision. It brings frustration because the path to manifestation is rarely clear or straightforward. It brings risk because creating something new requires vulnerability, a willingness to face rejection, failure, and misunderstanding. Yet, the greater risk lies in ignoring this burden, in silencing the voice within that calls you to create. There is a world waiting for what you have to offer, a world that needs the solutions, the beauty, the innovation that only you can bring. To carry a creative burden is to be a pioneer, to walk a path that has not yet been carved. It requires courage to step out from the familiar, to reject the security of convention, and to embrace the uncertainty of creativity. Yet this burden is not a curse, it is a calling. It is a sign that there is something within you that must be expressed, something that will impact lives, shift perspectives, and transform the ordinary into the extraordinary. Embrace the burden, do not hide from it or run from it. Let it compel you to create boldly, to birth what has been growing within you, and to bring forth the vision that the world has yet to see. There is a frustration that brews in the heart when every attempt to fit into the mold of conventional success seems to fail. You submit applications, polish resumes, prepare for interviews, yet the doors remain closed. Rejection emails pile up, or worse, there is silence. The qualifications you thought would guarantee opportunity now seem irrelevant, and the confidence you once had begins to waver. You start to wonder if there is something wrong with you, some unseen flaw that disqualifies you from the success that seems so accessible to others. Yet what if these closed doors are not a rejection of your worth, but a redirection of your purpose? There are those who walk through life with ease, stepping into jobs that fit their skills and expectations. They ascend the corporate ladder with little resistance, following a path that appears well-lit and certain. But for you, each attempt to find stability through conventional work seems met with an invisible barrier. The interviews that seemed promising end without a call back. The opportunities that felt like breakthroughs slip through your fingers. The promotions you worked for are given to others. It feels unfair, unjust, as though the universe itself has conspired against you. Yet, there is a reason, a higher purpose, that these closed doors are guiding you toward. When doors refuse to open, it forces you to pause, to question, to seek beyond the immediate. It pushes you out of complacency and into contemplation. Perhaps you were not meant to fit into the framework of conventional work. Perhaps the very reason these paths are closed is because there is a greater path awaiting your courage, a path that does not conform to the ordinary or the expected, What if the purpose that lies within you is too vast, too unique to be confined by a job description? What if these closed doors are not failures but the markers directing you toward your true calling? The world values stability, predictability, and conformity. It tells you that a steady job is the epitome of success, that security is found in consistency. But you are not called to consistency, you are called to purpose. The frustration of closed doors is the evidence of a higher calling, the signal that you were designed for more than the routine of working for someone else's dream. It is a summons to step into your own purpose, to create, to lead, to innovate in a way that no standard job could accommodate. These closed doors are not meant to discourage you, they are meant to provoke you, to awaken the dormant vision within you. It is painful to see others succeed in what you thought was your path. Friends celebrate promotions while you wonder why you cannot find the right opportunity. Family members question your choices, advising you to just take any job. They do not see the inner struggle, the wrestling with purpose that keeps you up at night. They do not understand that to settle for anything less than your calling is to betray the deepest part of yourself. The rejection stings, the closed doors are frustrating. But they are not the end, they are the beginning of a different journey, a path that requires faith rather than familiarity. When the doors of conventional work close, it forces you to dig deeper, to examine what truly drives you. What are the dreams that have lingered in your heart, the ideas that persist despite discouragement? What if the rejection you face is the refining fire that prepares you for a purpose beyond what you could have planned for yourself? What if the very qualifications that seem to be ignored are meant for a purpose that has yet to be revealed? These closed doors are not final, they are formative. They are shaping you, preparing you, molding you to step into the fullness of your calling. Some of the greatest movements, the most impactful creations, and the most transformative leaders were born from closed doors. The path that seemed sure and stable was denied to them, pushing them to pioneer new ways, to chart courses that had never been walked before. They did not accept rejection as the end, they saw it as redirection. When every door shuts, when every path seems blocked, that is the moment when you must look within. The solution is not outside of you, it is within you. The path you are called to create will not be found through following the familiar, it will be found through forging the unknown. Do not curse the closed doors. Do not see them as curses but as catalysts. They are not denying your worth, they are affirming your uniqueness. You were not meant to fit where everyone else fits. You were meant to stand out, to carve a new path, to build what has not yet been built. Embrace the discomfort of rejection, for it is a sign that you are not here to conform but to create. Step forward with courage, knowing that the doors that would not open were never meant for you. They were barriers that preserved your purpose for something greater. Let the closed doors propel you into the destiny that only you can fulfill. There exists within certain souls a voice that will not be silenced, a relentless whisper that insists there is more to life than what is presented before them. This inner calling is not a fleeting notion, it is a persistent, unyielding urge that rises from the depth of your being. It is the knowing that you were not made merely to follow, to comply, to fit into the neat boxes that society has crafted for the masses. It is a sense that your purpose transcends the conventional paths of employment, that you were born to create, to lead, to pioneer something uniquely your own. This calling often appears in the quiet moments when the noise of daily life subsides. It emerges when you find yourself dissatisfied with routine tasks that others find fulfilling. It surfaces when you see problems that others overlook, opportunities that remain unseen by the majority. There is a restlessness within you that stirs whenever you consider settling for a life that simply pays the bills but does not ignite your soul. You try to ignore it, to suppress it, to reason it away, but it persists. It does not negotiate, it demands your attention. You may have tried to conform to conventional paths, to take the safe road that guarantees stability and acceptance. Perhaps you have walked through academic halls, earned degrees, and stepped into positions that promised security. Yet the deeper you went, the louder the calling became. You looked around at colleagues content with routine and wondered why you could not do the same. You followed protocols, attended meetings, and completed tasks, yet the sense of fulfillment eluded you. It is not that you cannot succeed in these environments. It is that you are not designed to stay confined within them. This calling is not a mere ambition or a desire for recognition. It is not driven by ego or the need for validation. It is a burden that will not lift until you begin to pursue it. It is the stirring that keeps you awake at night, envisioning what could be rather than accepting what is. It is a vision of impact, a yearning to create something that leaves a mark, that alters the course of others' lives, that speaks to the heart of your purpose. You see solutions to problems that others have accepted as unsolvable. You envision projects, businesses, and endeavors that have yet to be realized. There is a cost to carrying this inner calling. It separates you from the crowd, isolates you from those who are content with following established paths. It makes you appear restless, dissatisfied, even rebellious. Friends and family may not understand why you cannot simply be content with a steady job, a predictable life. They may see your desire to create and lead as impractical, unrealistic, even arrogant. They may advise you to grow up, to be realistic, to stop dreaming. Yet, their voices cannot silence the calling. It is louder than their caution, stronger than their skepticism. You may have tried to abandon this calling, to silence it for the sake of stability and acceptance. Perhaps you buried your dreams beneath responsibilities, convinced yourself that you should be grateful for what you have. Yet, each time you try to bury it, it resurrects itself with greater intensity. The dissatisfaction grows, the restlessness deepens, and you find yourself grappling with the tension between security and significance. The inner calling refuses to be silenced, because it is not a preference, it is your purpose. It is the reason you were created, the fire that fuels your existence. Following this calling requires courage, the courage to step away from certainty and embrace the unknown. It requires faith to believe in what you cannot yet see, to trust in a vision that exists only within you. It requires the boldness to risk failure, to face rejection, to endure misunderstanding. Yet the alternative is a life of quiet regret, a life where you wonder what could have been had you dared to answer the call. The comfort of conformity may offer temporary ease, but it will never satisfy the hunger for purpose that lives within you. This calling will often lead you to unfamiliar places, to paths that have not yet been walked. It may require you to build something from the ground up, to create what has not been created, to lead where no path exists. It will test your resolve, demand your perseverance, and challenge your convictions. There will be days of doubt, moments of fear, seasons of scarcity. Yet these trials are the refining fire that prepares you to carry the weight of what you are called to build. The struggle is not a sign of failure. It is evidence that you are stepping into uncharted territory. As you walk this path, you will encounter voices of doubt, both from within and from those around you. There will be moments when the weight of responsibility feels overwhelming, when the temptation to retreat to the familiar becomes strong. Yet, in these moments, remember that the calling was not given to you by accident. It is not a mistake or a coincidence. It is a divine design, a purpose uniquely crafted for you. No one else can fulfill it, no one else can carry it. It is yours to pursue, yours to build, yours to bring forth. This inner calling is not just about personal success or individual achievement. It is about impact, changing lives, shifting perspectives, creating solutions, and leaving a legacy. It is about giving what only you can give, creating what only you can create, and leading where only you can lead. It is not about being better than others, it is about being true to the purpose that has been placed within you. To ignore it is to deprive the world of what you were meant to contribute. To answer it is to live a life of significance, of meaning, of impact. When you finally surrender to this calling, when you choose to embrace it rather than resist it, you will find a fulfillment that no conventional path could offer. The road may not be easy, but it will be worth it. The sacrifices will be heavy, but the reward will be priceless. You will create, lead, build, and impact in a way that aligns with the deepest part of who you are. You will walk in purpose, no longer tormented by the restlessness of unfulfilled potential. The journey will not always be clear, but the calling will always be certain. So do not fear the call, embrace it. Let it guide you, disrupt you, challenge you, and lead you. Let it be the force that compels you to create, to lead, to build what has been placed within you. There is a world waiting for what you have to offer, a need that only your purpose can fulfill. Step into it with boldness, for this calling is not a burden, it is a gift. It is your purpose, your reason, your path. Answer it, pursue it, and watch as it unfolds into a life of significance that far exceeds the limitations of convention.